I hope you're having a great day. Well, yesterday the world celebrated International Coffee Day. So I thought it's important for us to talk about coffee and the health benefits, how it can affect us, and whether we should be having coffee or not. Now, when I talk about coffee, if you're not a coffee drinker, you've never liked it, it doesn't mean you have to start it. There are people who drink a lot of coffee and there are some people who don't drink coffee at all. Well, for the longest time, the WHO had listed coffee or caffeine as a carcinogenic. But that was basically busted as a myth with Harvard doing its research and coming out with a completely different article about how actually coffee is extremely beneficial for health. Now, when I say that, it doesn't have to mean for everyone. Caffeine suits some people and it doesn't suit some people. For some people who are highly acidic, it can create more problems. But let's break it down. There are a lot of scientific and medical claims in relation to coffee increasing the lifespan. Some people say it increases lifespan because yes, it has a positive impact on people who have diabetes, cardiovascular issues, and all of that stuff. So that's one good thing to prevention. But the second is because it helps protect our DNA. Coffee has the ability to protect our telomeres. So our telomeres are everything to do with the way that we age. Today, most people are aging way before their time. You may be 30 on paper, but your actual age probably would be 40 or 45 because of poor lifestyle, sleep deprivation, the wrong foods, and all of that stuff. So we have our telomeres, basically we have our DNAs, which are strands together. And at the end of the strand, you have something called a telomere, which is nothing like a cap. So if you look at the end of your shoelace, if you've ever noticed the hard part at the end of your shoelace, they're all strands together. Your shoelace are all strands together, and to keep those strands in the form of your shoelace, it's capped with a little plastic cap that's called an anglet. So basically, think of that as your telomere. It's a little cap. And if this cap gets damaged with sleep deprivation, heavy medication, disease, bad food, bad lifestyle, the strands start shortening, and that's how our lifespan decreases. But coffee has the ability to protect our telomeres. So yeah, that's great for us. When it comes to your gut health as well, coffee is showing promising research and results when taken in the right quantity and of course the right quality. You can get cheap coffee and you can get good quality coffee beans. It all depends on the quality of the bean. It's like chocolate. You can get cheap chocolate and you can get expensive chocolate depending on the quality. So sometimes when it comes to our health and our food, we can make a wrong decision about choosing cheap foods, okay, which can really affect our health. But sometimes we got to spend a little more money on our health and the right foods because of the quality, and quality matters. Now, when it comes to your heart health, cardiovascular health, and diabetes, coffee is rich in flavonols and antioxidants. The more antioxidants we have, the better it neutralizes free radicals that creates inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, cancers, and so many other conditions in our body. The underlying cause is inflammation. Inflammation is caused when we have free radicals in our body that are not neutralized by antioxidants because our diet is deficient in antioxidants. So because of the high content of flavonols and antioxidants, this makes it a great food for inflammation, helping you with cardiovascular issues and diabetes. The second thing is coffee contains something called chlorogenic acid, which plays a huge role in your heart health and in diabetes. So today everyone's talking about green coffee bean and weight loss, green coffee bean and diabetes. Why? Because it's rich in chlorogenic acid. Of course, green coffee alone or coffee alone is not going to help you lose your weight. We all understand that good weight loss happens when you lead a good lifestyle. You look at your food, you look at your exercise, you look at your sleep, and you look at the state of your emotions and the health of your heart, your emotions and your stress. Metabolism. How does coffee help you with weight loss? Coffee alone will not help you with weight loss, but coffee will boost your metabolic activity. The higher your metabolism, the more you can burn calories even when you're in your rested state. So a lot of fat burners which are not good for you are filled with caffeine. That caffeine helps you stoke your metabolism. But again, we need to understand too much of coffee can actually be harmful for you. So we talk about quantities in a bit. Then we have Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, anything to do with your brain health. Because caffeine in the right quantities can also stimulate neurological activity. Your neurons, your synapses, everything to do with your central nervous system. So coffee in the right quantity can also be great for your brain health. At the same time, if we do too much of coffee, it can stimulate and overstimulate our neurons, which can actually have a negative impact again. Now, what are the things that we need to be careful of? Okay, let me add one more point. When it comes to certain, we're looking at medical research in regards to uterine cancers, liver cancers, certain breast cancers and prostate cancers as well, where coffee, the chlorogenic acid, the anti-inflammatory conditions also plays a role in that. Am I saying coffee will reverse your cancer? Absolutely not. There's no one thing that reverses cancer. There's no one thing that puts your cancer in remission. It's a multiple effect approach that works for your cancers and your diseases. Now, when it comes to people with high blood pressure, you want to be careful of coffee because coffee has the ability to increase your heart rate and also your pressure. So people with high blood pressure, you want to make sure that it's not impacting that. People with adrenal fatigue syndromes, anything where you're constantly fatigued or you have a Hashimoto's thyroid or even an underactive thyroid gland that may be caused because of adrenal fatigue, coffee isn't going to be the best thing for you. Maybe a cup a day, but if you increase that, you're going to make your kidneys produce more adrenaline and more cortisol, actually hampering the possible recovery towards your issue. People with autoimmune conditions, eczema, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus and all of that stuff, you want to make sure that you don't cross 1 or 2, maximum 2 cups of coffee in a day, because you don't want anything irritating your gut, which will again create inflammation and can be a possible trigger to a flare-up in autoimmune conditions. People who are highly acidic, you need to understand that coffee is acidic. Now, things which are acidic doesn't mean they're bad for us, but if our lifestyle's made us acidic and we're going to make ourselves more acidic by putting things like coffee or tea into our systems, it's actually going to create a bigger problem. Not only are we going to get more acidic and have gut and gastric issues, but there's going to be more leaching of minerals from your bones, creating osteoporosis and all of that stuff. Okay, it's not just calcium and milk for your bones, it's basically acidity. Most people who suffer from osteoporosis today have sufficient dairy and sufficient calcium in their diets, but they are so highly acidic that the blood leaches minerals from their bones, leading to osteoporosis. So we want to be careful of that. If you are a patient of H. pylori, which is a bacteria in your gut, you want to stay away from coffee until the H. pylori no longer shows positive in your blood reports, because that's going to make your system more and more acidic. If caffeine affects your sleep, we need to understand or find that perfect time in the day where we can have coffee so it doesn't affect our sleep. Like for example, for me, if I have coffee later than 11 o'clock in the morning, I will not be able to sleep at night. So my threshold time is 11 o'clock. I have coffee after that, I do not sleep at night. So find that perfect time if you enjoy your coffee and you want to continue having it. But if coffee deprives you of sleep, of course we understand that sleep is the most important vertical of health. We do not want to do anything that compromises our sleep. For some people, caffeine gives them the jitters. And if that constantly happens, you have to understand that your body, doesn't take caffeine too well. So we don't have to have coffee. Okay, so make sure, like I always say, don't compare yourselves with other people. Introspect yourself. Does coffee suit you or does it not suit you? The health benefits that I mentioned in coffee are also available in several other foods, several other beverages and fruits and nuts and all of that stuff. So we don't have to be fixated on coffee. If you enjoy your coffee, do it the right way. Now, when you add milk to your coffee, scientific research shows us that it reduces the bioactives in your coffee. It's still a good drink for you, but I'm just trying to say that coffee is best had black. Pure black coffee. You can dilute it with water, you can have it as an espresso, it's up to you. But when you add milk, you're taking away some of the health benefits from that, because milk will block the absorption of certain nutrients into your system. So that's up to you to decide. You don't want to have coffee immediately after a meal, because coffee and tea contain something called tannins, and tannins blocks the absorption of iron into our system. So when you've had a meal, you want to wait for at least 45 minutes to an hour before you have your tea and your coffee, because we want to absorb maximum nutrition from the food that we ate. Remember, it's not about what you eat, it's about how well your body absorbs and breaks down what you eat. So don't have coffee and tea immediately after a meal. If you must have something hot, have an herbal concoction. You can have like a spice tea, or you can do an herbal infused tea, but nothing with caffeine or nothing that contains tannins that will block iron absorption. Coffee with pregnancy. I wouldn't advise this, although a lot of people do it, because there's more and more medical research showing how it can cause some negative impact on the fetus. But we don't have too much of research over there, so we want you to cut down your coffee if you're pregnant, or we want to keep it down to the minimum quantity. Or if you don't drink coffee, don't start it at all, especially if you're pregnant. quantities. Anywhere between 1 to 3 cups a day is good. There are some people who go up to 4 cups. If you've adjusted to it, you're not acidic, everything's good, your sleep's in place, that's absolutely fine. But having 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day will get you these health benefits that we're talking about. And I think the most important thing is your water intake. You need to understand that coffee works as a diuretic. So people who drink coffee, they know that you usually visit the loo quickly after they've done that. It works as a diuretic. A diuretic flushes out water from our system. So you want to make sure that you're not dehydrated because of your consumption of coffee, and you're drinking sufficient amount of coffee or water to make up the amount of coffee. So the usual rule is 1 cup of coffee, 1 extra cup of water, because it's worked as a diuretic. And that's it when it comes to coffee. Like I always say, moderation, don't overdo it. If you're using coffee because it's a stimulant to keep you awake through the day, that's not going to help you in any case, because you're just not changing your behavior of sleeping better at night. If we need stimulants to get us through our day, we are fatigued. We already know we're fatigued because we're running on energy coming from caffeine, a stimulant. We should be running on energy coming from our cells, cellular energy. That is pure energy. So make sure that you have coffee the right way, you respect it. The easiest way to mess up all the health benefits of coffee is by adding your whipped cream, your white sugar, your caramel, all of your flavorings and all of that stuff. That just becomes junk. You've just made something which is as healthy as a coffee bean into a mug of junk. Have it once in a way, but if you're doing it all the time, it's not giving you any of the health benefits. Have a great day, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.